Hello there, welcome back to my channel. In the previous videos we talked about list, if statements, conditions, and a great deal of other things. Now let's talk about checking whether a value is in a list. Sometimes it is important to check whether a list contains a certain value before taking an action. For example, you might want to check whether a new username already exists in a list of current usernames before completing someone's registration on a website. In a mapping project, you might want to check whether a submitted location already exists in a list of known locations. To find out whether a particular value is already in the list, use the keyword in. Let's consider some color you might want to try. uh, we will make a list of colors that a customer might want to know about. So let me just give an example. Let's say that colors. Okay, let me just make a quick list of different colors: blue, red, yellow, white. Now let me just add the color blue and colors. Now if I run it, it is true because blue is in the list. Now if I run, let's say green and colors, and if I run it, I will get false because green is not in the colors. The keyword tells Python to check for the existence of colors in the list. This technique is quite powerful because you can create a list of essential values and then easily check whether the value you are testing matches one of the values in the list. Now let me just let's talk about checking whether a value is not in a list. Other times it is important to know if a value doesn't appear in a list, you can use the keyword not in this situation. For example, consider a list of users who are banned from commenting in a forum. You can check whether a user has been banned before allowing that person to submit a comment. So let me just give an example. Banned users, and let me just add names: Han, Abdullah, Imran, and let's set that. Okay, if let me just add user Jawad, and let me make a comment if user not in banned users, print if user dot title, and you can just add a comment if you want. You can post a response if you want to, if you wish. Okay, now if I run it, you can see that Jawad, you can post a response if you wish to, because Jawad is not in the banned users. Now if I add Khan, let me just add Khan, then it will not run. Okay, you can add any other name except the banned users because they're not allowed to comment. So the line, the text reads, quite, it tells us that if the value of user is not in the list, Python returns true and executes the indented line. The user Jawad is not in the list banned users, so he can write a message if he wants to comment, he can. Now let's talk about Boolean expression. I hope it is clear. It is not that difficult. All you need to do is just memorize or practice on the structure, and it will just stick in your head. So do practice, and this is how you learn Boolean expressions. As you learn more about programming, you will hear the term Boolean expression at some point. A Boolean expression is just another name for a conditional test. A Boolean value is either true or false, just like the value of a conditional expression after it is being evaluated. Boolean values are often used to keep track of certain conditions, such as whether a game is running or whether a user can edit certain content on a website. Now let me just give an example. Game active, let's say true, and can edit, let's say false. Boolean values provide an efficient way to track the state of a program or a particular condition that is important in your program. Now let's talk about if statements. When you understand conditional test, you can start writing if statements. Several different kinds of if statements exist, and your choice of which to use depends on the number of conditions you need to test. You saw several examples of if statements in the discussion in the previous video about conditional test, but now let's dig deeper into the topic. Now let's talk about simple if statements. The simple kind of if statement has one test and one action, and it looks like this. If conditional test do something, it looks like this. You can put any conditional test in the first line and just about any action in the indented block following the test. If the conditional test evaluates to true, Python executes the code following the if statement. If the test evaluates to false, Python ignores the code following the if statement. Let's say we have a variable representing a person's age, and we want to know if that person is old enough to vote. The following code tests whether the person can vote. Let me just give an example. Let me set an age 19. Now the condition, if age is greater than or equal to 18, print you are old enough to vote. You are old enough to vote. Now let me just run it, and you could see that it is printed. Now if I put here 17, okay, now let me change it from 17 to 20, and you could see that it will not run because here age is 19. Okay, and if age is greater than or equal to 20, which is not the required thing that we want, so you'll set here 18. You can put here 20, anything beyond 18 or 18, and it will just give you the output. Python checks to see whether the value of age is greater than or equal to 18. So Python executes the indented print, and it displays your all win up to vote. Indentation plays the same role in if statements as it did in for loops. All indented lines after an if statement will be executed if the test passes, and the entire block of indented lines will be ignored if the test doesn't pass. You can have as many lines of code as you want in the block following the if statement. Let's add another line of output if the person is old enough to vote, asking if the individual has registered to vote yet. So let me just add another line here. Print, have you registered to vote yet? Let me just run it. You could see that I could add as many indented lines as I want to. The conditional test passes and both print calls are indented, so both lines are printed. If the value of age is less than 18, the program will produce no output.